Hello guys. Welcome back to my channel. It's been a while, and today I'm with someone special, Debbie, the the only one, the only Debbie, the one of a kind, the accountant, the writer, the humanitarian, everything. So, Debs, thanks for coming to my channel today.
It's a pleasure.
So today, we want to talk about how to live in peace with everyone. There's a part of the scripture that said that we should follow peace with all men and holiness, without which no man will see the Lord. And a lot of times we can ask, how is it actually possible to follow peace with all men? Human beings can ask questions sometimes.
True.
They will test you.
Get on your last nerve.
They will get on your last nerves, and we have to follow peace. Is it possible? How do we even do it? How have you been doing it? This is not an interview, this is a discussion. So people should follow us. It's just I'm starting. I want Debs to start. So she's just going to share, and we'll just talk about it and see where the discussion
living
is
at
us.
peace with everyone. Well, I like to emphasize that there's the part that says as long as it's within your heart and your power.
Yes.
And I think there's a limit to which you can. Once it's within your means to be at peace with a particular person or people, you should work at it. But then there are situations where you have done all there is to do, and at the end of the day, the person has refused to be at peace with you. So I think it is possible to be at peace with everyone. It's possible, but then there are little exceptional cases where you've done all there is that you could do, but you are trying to be at peace with that person, but the person is not reciprocating, so it just gets.
I feel like whether the person reciprocates or not, at least when it comes to you now, you are at peace with that person.
Yes.
So at least whatever that person does now, it's that person's problem. It's just that.
And then you know that peace has to do with living in harmony with people, and then with yourself too. And so based on that, just like you said, as long as you, like on the inside of you, your heart, you are at peace with that person, like that's all that really matters at the end of the day.
So as a person, how have you been able to do it thus far?
I'll say, okay, now this is just my personal experience, and I'll say that being at peace with people, first of all, you have to come from a point of understanding. So you have to get to understand the person, get to know who the person is. Now you're trying to look at the person, like what is the person's flaws, what are the person's likes and dislikes. You're trying to understand. Okay, there are things I could say certain jokes to Mr. A, and Mr. A will laugh.
Yeah.
I could say that particular joke to Mr. B, and Mr. B will take offense. So I believe that you need to deal with people from a place of understanding.
Yeah.
Then learning to accept people for who they are, not who you expect them to be.
Thank you very much. I think that is a major key.
Yeah.
To be in peace with people. I think a lot of times we have unnecessary expectations of people, and we don't take them as they are. I think sometimes we say we look for wahala.
True, because if, for instance, I'm a kind of person that does not get offended when a person says a particular joke, I find it funny.
Mm-hmm.
I immediately think that every other person should feel the same way. They should have the same response to that joke, because I'm now looking at the person not from the lens of this is who this person is. I'm looking at the person from my own lens, and I'm just looking at the person based on my personality, which is wrong, because people are different.
Yeah.
What triggers a person will not trigger the other person. So first of all, get to understand who you are dealing with. What are their likes, what are their dislikes, and then you need to have that understanding that people, will not always agree with what you're saying.
Yes.
For instance, it's possible that I will see particular cloth and say that that cloth is white.
Yeah.
And it is white to me. I can back up my claims that it is
actually
white. Yeah. But another person will see that particular cloth and say, no, it is not white, it is cream. Now, the best thing the best way to handle it is to understand that I may be seeing this differently. I may be seeing this from a different lens.
Maybe your lighting is even better than that of the other person.
Maybe your eyes, eyesight. You may have better eyesight, and you may be the person that is wrong. It's just that you can't see yourself wrong, because to you this is white.
Yeah.
That is all you know as white. And all that we know is not all there is to know.
Yeah, exactly.
So sometimes we may be the one in the wrong, but in other circumstances, maybe not be us, maybe the other person that may be wrong. But the best way to handle this situation is that when you keep having disagreements, you need to have the understanding that this person is probably looking at this from a different lens.
Why is this person seeing white?
Yes, and I used to say that if you look at the same thing from the person's perspective. So for instance, you just take a different view. So maybe I'm looking at this from this angle, and then it looks white. And maybe I should just put myself in the person's shoes for a minute and just look at it from that person's shoes. I may see it as cream, the way the person says, or even black if the person is saying black. So yes, having that understanding that we cannot agree all the time. Yes, and then when you have that understanding, disagreement does not necessarily mean that it ends in a chaotic situation. So we can just accept that we cannot always agree on certain things. People have different beliefs, religious beliefs, cultural beliefs, and these things are as a result of what they've been exposed to from their tender age. So my childhood differs from yours, and the experiences that I've had to go through during my childhood differs from yours. So we're coming from different worlds, and our understanding of different things, situations, and interpretations of life experiences and happenings just differs.
It's still talking about accepting people for who they are, and understanding that they usually don't see things or that we usually don't see things from the same point of view. I remember there was this diagram that they showed us during counseling when we were talking about conflict resolution. That I think he had a diagram where you could either see somebody could see a baby and somebody could see an old woman, and the diagram was just showing that we would not always see eye to eye, just like you said. So now we know it's important. Accept people for who they are. Don't try to change them. Not that everybody is not like you. I know another thing we can do is to be tolerant with people and be patient with people.
Yeah, so it's very important that we practice tolerance. It's something that you do not just wake up one day and become tolerant.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's something that you need to work on and be conscious about. You just need to work on it. When people, do things that hurt you, or people act in certain ways that you just cannot comprehend. Like, is this person alright? Who does that? When that happens, you need to also practice tolerance. Now, mind you, being tolerant does not necessarily mean that you just become a doormat. Yeah, it just means that you give people, benefit of the doubt. Like you try to, handle things from a more patient angle. You're not trying to react. You're not quick to react.
Not violence. Every day should not be for violence.
Yes.
There should be days where we just ignore, or just, and it all still comes from accepting people. Oh, this is just how this person. And since I can, do better, I'll just do it from my own aspect. You keep being you. I hope you change one day.
So you keep being you.
One of the points I wrote down was respecting people's boundaries. So there was a friend that we stayed in the same hostel together when I was in school. She liked to do her things neat, organized, you know. And I just realized that, and she doesn't take shit. Do my thing this way, leave my thing this. If you will not use my bucket well, leave my bucket alone. And people started having issues with that. That she was that, and she was demanding for too much. That your problem is too much. She was all this and that. And I was like, is it your bucket? So is it? It's her own. It's her space. It's her rule. It's her body. Whatever the situation it is might be, respect it. If you can't use it the way you expected to, then leave it alone. You say, and I've discovered a lot of times we humans, we can push boundaries. It still goes back. I think like that first point is like a major, because it dripples down to every other thing. So when we understand that this person says, oh, I don't like that joke, respect the boundary. Don't push it. I think it's another important way of living in peace with people. Though I always feel like, for me personally, I feel like yes, you might have wahala. There are some people that their rules are actually quite demanding, that you can stiffen or whoever it is that is in their space.
Yes, and when it comes to being at peace with everyone, of course you encounter certain people that I like to term as difficult people. And sometimes those people know that they are quite difficult, because they have an understanding, they've grown to understand who they are, and some of them are working on becoming like better, and then there are some that have just accepted that this is me, and you either take it or leave it. So when you come across people like that, you just need to like you said, respect boundaries, respect what they like, what they do not like. Just have an understanding and know what you can handle. Know when to pull away, know when to give a little space and all of that. So
at least you stop having unnecessary fights. I think even if you don't have a breathing space, at least there will not be fights. You're able to find your own environment.
Yeah, and another thing I like to emphasize on, conflicts are bound to happen and disagreements are bound to happen, but the absence of peace is when you keep trying to escalate an issue that is already on ground. So instead of finding a way to sort it out, you escalate it by pondering on it, and instead of trying to let's find a middle ground, let's find where we meet, let's find where we come to an understanding, and let me see in what way can I what am I doing or what am I saying that is escalating this issue. And if I'm able to look inward, I may discover that maybe my words, my response, I may be right. What I'm saying may be right, but my approach and the tone that I use may be what is triggering and what is escalating an already existing issue. And if I handle it differently with a better tone or a different tone, so to say, if I handle it with a different tone, if I handle it with a different approach, it will have a different impact, and then the outcome will be very different. The crisis or the issue, instead of escalating, we just pipe down, and then we find that we are more at peace. And this happens a lot when it comes to issues of differences, when it comes to political differences, when we have different parties, different beliefs, different candidates that are parties that were interested in and were supporting and all of that. That there are things you can say that trigger or escalate issues instead of bringing peace. And I just like us to have at the back of our mind that you're either an agent of peace or you're the opposite. So whatever you say, whatever you do, and whatever action you're taking, even your words, is either taking us closer to peace or pulling us farther away from peace. So let's just have that at the back of our mind. And I like to just say, when you're thinking of this, look inward. Don't just be like, oh yes, that's person. No, even you listening, you may think
Perfect.
you are perfect or you're doing well, but I like to say that life, we learn every day and we keep growing, and then we need to always look inward and find ways to like improve on ourselves until we become like the very best version of ourselves. Yeah.
And then coming from a spiritual angle, there are sometimes that you are reporting to the Holy Spirit and say, "Oh, this person offended me. This one, that one, I'm offended," and the Holy Spirit is saying, "Apologize," or rather, you are the one that needs to be patient. And saying, "Be patient. It's not about this person. You are not."
And that sometimes you actually feel like you are right, and the person is in the wrong.
You are not patient enough.
And then you just want to give the person the peace of your mind, like let the person know that you are upset, and let the person know that this thing you are doing, and this is my reaction to it. You to feel the heat, But I used to say that when you act to a person in a certain way, you get a reaction from that person. But the interesting thing about life is that even the reaction from that person triggers another reaction from you, and then it just becomes like a ripple effect. I act, you react, you respond, and then it goes back and forth until it gets to that point where we do not even remember what actually started it in the first place.
Alright. So any other way of living in peace that you'd like to suggest?
I would say you should understand yourself.
Okay.
And when you understand yourself, you understand your mood, you understand your responses to situations, you understand times where you need to rest or take a break. Because sometimes when you're stressed, your reaction under a stressed atmosphere will differ from your reaction when you are calm. So you need to like take care of yourself, look inward, take care of yourself, take care of your health, take care of your mental health. You may need to reduce screen time. If you feel that certain pages or certain articles or certain pages, let me just say pages on social media triggers you, or content that triggers you, and maybe it will do well for yourself to avoid that, because when you keep feeding your mind with those things, you will react to it, and then your reaction may stir up conflict instead of bringing peace. So understand yourself, understand your stress levels, know when you're stressed, know when you need to take a break, know when you need to rest, so that you don't just react under stress and then it becomes like very toxic.
I wrote here, I said, this one, we came across it in one of the books that we read in Rose, our book club. That don't let the actions of others define you. So the fact that somebody is giving you negative vibes doesn't mean you should return negative vibes.
That's true. You know that, like you said, the fact that someone is giving you negative vibes doesn't mean you should return a negative vibe. The danger of returning negative vibe is that when you return the negative vibe to the person, at some point you begin to change, and then you become that thing you were irritated by, that thing that thing that got you upset, that attitude or that character. You begin to exude it, begin to manifest it, because it's like maybe you yelled at me, I yelled back, you yelled and I keep yelling. Maybe I do not like when people raise their voice, but because you raised your voice, I raised my voice and I began to like use that as my defense mechanism.
Yes.
Like I began to use that because maybe I began to say, maybe only you get voice to raise, that kind of thing. So you just keep raising your voice and all, and then to a point where you become someone that is known as a person that raises her voice. So I think it's important, that point is really important. Do not let people's action define your.
I just Now I'm remembering the part of scripture that says a soft answer calms down wrath. I don't know. I can't remember that part.
I think that point is even important to someone like me, because my brain can manufacture answer. My brain can just manufacture answer. There's a way you talk, and then the answer I'll give, I like to call it memory pass. You will not forget it. It will keep ringing and you replaying in your mind.
Yes.
But the danger of this is that it sows a seed that at the end of the day, what it produces at the end of the day,
What end?
yes, at the end of the day, was not worth it. It could have been avoided.
So you said a piece of your mind. To what end?
Yes, it could have been avoided, because, like I say, most of these things we do have ripple effects. I may not be the one to get the hit at the end of the day. Maybe another person, and the person may just be totally innocent. But because of the way I reacted, I gave the peace of my mind. That other person got into a particular state of mind.
I give you back.
I know there's this thing of you give me, I give you back, but there's you give me, I give others. There are people that react to other people because of the heat they are getting from here. So
the people they can react to.
And maybe the person is asking a question, like, what kind of stupid question is that? Because the person is already upset. So the person just reacts in that state of mind, and you now find out that you are the reason that another person is getting the hit.
And another thing that I want to mention is, a lot of times when like we mentioned earlier, when you say live in peace with men, a lot of times people feel like accept everything that people throw at you. And I think there's a place where, yes, you're trying to keep the peace, but it's important that you learn to communicate your feelings, because the other person might not even know that you are. Yes, like I know I used to struggle a lot when I started learning to. I'm not much of a reactive person. I can also decide to want to hurt you the way you do.
So you go into withdrawal mode.
Yes, most of the time I because I know if I do the most for you, I will hurt you. Like I can be very terrible with words, So most times when I just calm down, and I might just shut up and ignore the situation, and I realize that this person can keep doing this thing. So I feel like it's good to always communicate how you feel. So it took me a long while, and I'm actually still learning to try to communicate right and say, you did this, this is what I expect, and maybe trying to see the person as an opportunity to express why they acted that way, or maybe even take into cognizance your own feelings, and then it helps the person act better, so it won't be like they are always the one at the receiving end all the time.
Yeah, and about that, that's really important. I think it's something that we all need to learn. The best way and the approach to which we air our grievances and our feelings, and then when we're hurt by people's actions or words. And because sometimes the person in question may not even be aware that the person is doing this particular thing. You may be under the assumption, you may be acting under the assumption that this person knows what he is doing or she is doing to hurt you, but you may be totally wrong. The person may be so unaware that it's hurting you that much. The person may not know the extent to which you are being hurt. So sometimes it's good to, most times it's good to just express yourself and let the person know that this is what you're doing that's hurting. But now, when it comes to expressing yourself and airing your grievances and letting the individuals that have hurt you know that this is what they did that you do not like, you have to also put into consideration the person involved, because the way I'll approach you, for instance, will be very different from the way I approach another person. You need to understand that there are people that do not like to be corrected. There are people that do not like to be critiqued. There are people that respond to correction with a kind of defense. Then there are people that are more open to being corrected. And now, even for the person that approaches with some form of defense, the person may in the long run rethink it, but the person's approach maybe usually is the defense. So your choice of words when you're trying to articulate your feelings may differ from person to person. That's just the point I want to make. Your approach will differ from person to person. That's why I'm always of the opinion that you deal with people based on understanding. And when it comes to understanding people, it's a journey. Because I may think I've known you so well, but maybe there's just an aspect of you that I'm yet to know, and then I'm not really explored and I've not known yet. So, but as much as possible, just try as much as possible to do the things, act with understanding. Don't just, like I said, don't just act with the assumption of expecting people to act the way you expect them to be, not instead of who they are, because people are different. People are very different, and if the world was filled with people who were the same, like it would just be the world.
For example, you've expressed your feelings, and this person doesn't acknowledge them. You know, what do you do?
Now that's interesting. You express your feelings, and this person does not acknowledge them. Sometimes, like I said, the way you expressed it and the timing matters a lot. So, say for instance, I did something to you like some 5 years ago, and you're expressing it 5 years later. What do you expect? I don't know if you get, like, sometimes timing matters, because some people may react negatively to that, because for that person, the person is like, oh, so all these 5 years in between, you've had this at the back of your mind, and you've not been dealing with me honestly, because you've had bad blood, like I'm just the one unaware, but so this is it. And then for some people they may react differently, another person will react differently, but it's very important to consider timing, to consider the person involved, and to consider the words that you use. That being said, when you've done all that and expressed yourself, and the person does not respond well, because of course you're expressing your grievances, but it's not everybody that would just be like, oh my god, oh dear, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you, like, and all of that. How, it's not everybody that will act that way. Some people will be like, to hell with you, all that, even in their actions and words. So I think when that happens, the Bible says, as long as it's within your means and within your power, as long as it's in your power to be at peace with men, you try to be at peace with them. So I'd like to say that you do not just give up on people like this, like just, well, I've tried my best. The question is, have you really tried your best? Like, if you look deep down, is that really your best? So you need to answer that question honestly. You need to answer that question honestly, because sometimes we want to excuse ourselves and say that we've done our best, but deep down we know that we just feel that the person in question does not deserve that much effort. I don't know if you get, because if I've done something, if I've tried to make peace, in my mind it's like, at least I've tried. What of the person? The person too supposed to, like, naturally we as humans, we want, I put in this, you put in, yes, I've put in an effort. What of you? Why should it be me? But it says as long as it's within your means. So it means that if it's within your power to do more, you should. It should just be that, okay, I've exhausted all options. I've exhausted all options, and this person, it has proven to be difficult. So when it comes to that, I think the next thing to do is just to hand it over to God, like just pray. And I'm not saying you do not pray all through the process, because most times we as humans we like to see prayer as last resort. I think it should be first result, even before you get going to express your grievances to the person. Because if you pray about it, you will be ordered, your steps will be ordered, and then the Holy Spirit will guide you into knowing the time, the place, the where, the when, and the how to go about it.
And I think I'll just add that sometimes when you've given your all, because a lot of times the mental health of the receiver can be at stake. When you are in an environment where you're trying to try, but everything is against you, it's toxic, and you're trying to live in peace. As much as you might be able to ignore the situation and be there without fighting with everybody, but it can actually affect your mental health. So I think for me, if it's something that you've tried to control, you are putting out your best foot forward and you're not receiving it back, you can just avoid that situation. And if you can't avoid, try to ignore. When you ignore some situation, it doesn't get to you as much as it would have. Like for me, something that I do is this is this person. Like I can't change it. Like if you do something bad, it doesn't. I always say that you can only do something bad to me and it will affect me once. Once it has affected me once, it can't affect me again. I won't see you as, I won't expect that kind of goodness from you.
You will not raise your expectation.
I won't raise my expectation. So it's not like I'll have a beef with you. It's not because I've accepted you as that person.
Normally disappointment comes when you have expectations.
Yeah.
So the higher expectation, the higher disappointment.
Yeah,
and the reason why people are hurt is because the expectations were not met. So sometimes maybe, like you said, you need to just lower your expectation and be like.
So if I've come to see you as a fighter, if you fight with me, it won't affect me so much. I'll just live with you and bear with you till I'm able
that's the person's
to escape, because it's not my person to stay in that kind of, because it's not healthy for me.
I think it's also important to understand what you can deal with, what you can handle, like what you can tolerate. So there are certain character traits that certain people can easily tolerate over certain people. So there are some people that cannot tolerate someone that is disorganized. The person just gets.
You can't ignore it.
The person cannot. If they're in the same space, oh my God, to take the grace of God. Like there are people like that, because it just gets to them. While there are some people that have that capacity to just disorganize for yourself. Disorganize. I don't know if you get, like, there are people. I'm just using that as an illustration. I'm not necessarily saying that it has to be in that context, but I'm just saying that, like you said, you've understood that this person is a fighter. This is this person.
I'll be peaceful for both of us.
As simple as that.
So I hope you guys have been enjoying this talk, and if you are enjoying this talk and you've not liked, what I used to do is just the like button, just press the like button, okay, and also subscribe, okay, so that at least you can always get more tips on your journey to being better, right? So I think we've talked, we've hit a lot of nail when it comes to this topic. We've hit the nail on the head, and I hope you enjoyed the talk, and if you did, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. You can also click the notification bell to see more of this video. Thank you.
I enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Bye.